Hoy empezamos una serie de entrevistas que vamos a llamar El mundo agroalimentario habla, en las cuales lo que pretendemos es conocer un poco mejor distintos países en los que España o bien tiene algún interés económico o viceversa, ese país tiene algún interés comercial también en España. Y por lo tanto conoceremos un poco mejor qué relaciones, qué tipo de productos o cómo funciona la agroalimentación en estos países y pues trataremos de mostrárselo a todo el sector agroalimentario de nuestro país. Comenzamos hoy con el señor embajador de Bangladesh, señor Mohammad Sarwar Mahmood.
Sí.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you for inviting me to your studio.
And we are going to try to know something else about the agri-food industry in your country, in Bangladesh. So, ¿qué importancia tiene la producción de alimentos en el Producto Interior Bruto de su país? How important is food production in the gross domestic product in your country?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, frankly speaking, agriculture sector plays a very important role in ensuring agricultural food security and also creating employment opportunity. And if we look at the contribution of agriculture to our gross domestic product, it is close to 14%, 13.6%. And if you just compare with the world average, about the contribution of agriculture in world output, it is close to 10%. So our agriculture is very important for us. Mm-hmm. And one of the key objectives of the government is always is not only to ensure food self-sufficiency, but also enable sufficient supply of nutrition for its people, and also creating a robust distribution network, and also ensure a climate resilient agricultural produce. Mm-hmm. And not only this, Bangladesh, if you look at the quantitative figures, Bangladesh is the third largest producer of rice and vegetables in the world. And we can say that we are self-sufficient in livestock and poultry. And agriculture market, it close to $8 billion internally in our country. Mm-hmm. And government is trying to facilitate the agricultural production through many ways. For example, fruit orchards and vegetables also played an important role in its economic boom. We have also a lot of vegetables, as I mentioned earlier. And one specific action government took is that 50% of income derived from agro export is exempted from tax. So that's why exporters are encouraged also. And we produce a lot of quantity. Our volume of rice is produced every year is close to 57 million tons. 57 million tons, and vegetables is around 7 million tons. But still, I can say that we are not fully self-sufficient in rice because we have to import around 7 to 8 million tons every year from outside countries. And basically, most of this we import less rice, but we had to import wheat and wheat. I should say wheat because wheat is the main component of bread, something like this. And Bangladesh is the 35th largest economy of the world, but we have ambitious plan. We want to be 25th largest, and according to international estimates, we are going to be 25th largest economy by 2035, and also a high income country status by 2041. So, as stated by the government's vision 2041. So, and agri-food sector is vital in achieving all these goals. So that's all from my side with regard to your agricultural query.
Mm-hmm. And the fishing is important in your country. How important is fishing in the economy of your country?
Here also we have some appreciable figures. If we look at the figures, what we produce, Bangladesh is the world's third largest inland freshwater fish producers in the world. And it is home to largest variety of freshwater fish species in the world. And contribution of GDP, now if you look at the contribution of fishery in GDP, it is around 4% or appropriately speaking 3.8%. And fishery sector also contributing to the overall GDP sector, its contribution to overall agriculture sector is around 22%. And out of fishery, a good number of output is coming from deep sea fishing, but still we have a lot of potential because deep sea fishing accounts for around 15%. So we have enough potential from deep sea fishing. And if you look at the export, around $500 million US dollar or $533 million is coming from the export of fish and other fishery products. And if we look at the fishery, specifically we should talk about shrimp and prawn, because the black tiger is a specific brand of Bangladesh which is very famous worldwide, and shrimp and prawn are the second most important export commodities for Bangladesh, right after our ready-made garments. You know, our ready-made garments is our #1 products. And also we have some other appreciable status with regard to fishery. Bangladesh also is the world's 5th largest aquaculture producer in the world, next only to China, India, Indonesia and Vietnam. So actually for the people of Bangladesh, fish is a major source of protein and nutrition. Blue economy vision of Bangladesh emphasizes a positive transformation. That's why deep sea fishing has a lot of importance. So that's all with regard to fishery in our country.
And how is cost inflation influencing food production in your country?
Yeah, it's a very, very much valid question in today's context, because like everywhere in the world, food inflation in Bangladesh remains higher currently than non-food inflation over the past decade, but we have been able to maintain a appreciable position with regard to food inflation, I should say, before the outbreak of some two specific situations in the world. And just in 2021, food inflation achieved the target of 5.4%, so which was quite tolerable. But we see that COVID-19 pandemic and also as well as the ongoing Ukraine war had dealt a severe blow. Because how it happened? Because it created energy price hike in the worldwide and pushing the cost of food production higher than earlier. And not only the Ukraine war, but also the relevant sanction imposed on different countries. So that's why that means we have to limit our sourcing from different countries, which created limitation with regard to our sourcing from different countries. So food inflation is quite higher, but currently it is in tolerable level because government is very sincere. Various fiscal and monetary policy interventions are in place. And apart from this, one specific action I should mention that reduction of LC margin, LC, you know, letter of credit, reduction of LC margin on import of essential food commodities have kept the inflation within tolerable level nowadays. And enhanced access to social protection and safety nets. Safety nets, which is in our context is valid because our population is around 165 million, but we have to think about the very poor people. Poor people, although poverty rate has reduced, but still it is around 12%. So we have to think about them. So government gives them social protection and gives away free food delivery to the marginalized class. So that's how we are handling this issue.
And how do you see the situation about food production in Europe nowadays and in the coming years regarding the new political of food production in the coming years?
Europe's agriculture sector is really in a very good position. But we see that Europe's agriculture sector has been heavily tested in last 2 years. One is the latest increase in energy price. Again, I have to come to energy price, especially natural gas and electricity. threaten the continuity of agricultural food production cycles, and thereby its ability to continue delivering essential agricultural commodities, food ingredients, and feed materials. As a result, we see that food inflation soared here also. And also another important factor, climate change is resulting in frequent adverse and erratic environmental pattern. And we see, that's why we see that extreme weather events and also animal disease outbreak. But despite all these challenges, I should say that European Union is still able to generate surpluses, and which is contributing to global food supply. Europe remains a powerful player in the global wheat market, dairy products, and seed industry. EU consumption is already mature. That's also important and could remain relatively stable in the future. But if we look at the other challenges, that agriculture sector is also responsible for the emission of 11% of greenhouse gas emission. That means out of all greenhouse gas emission in the EU, 11% is contributed by European Union. But here also, European Union is also has intervened to improve the situation. So I know there is an ambitious target. And EU is likely to reduce the emission to, it wants to bring down to 2% to 11%. But here you see once emission is reduced in EU areas, it may be offset by increasing emission in other areas of the world where there is not enough restriction, rules and regulation, which is known as emission leakage. But overall, EU's preparation is quite satisfactory in this regard, I can say.
So, Green Deal and all its consequences are well known by your country and by you, and you think they are working in the right position? European Commission?
Yes, yes.
And do you think that the Green Deal and all the policies that are going to come regarding the green new situation of the food industry in Europe will affect to your country?
Oh yes, the answer is actually yes and no, both. European Green Deal actually is a very ambitious statement of intent for the European Union to become the first climate neutral continent by 2050. And what is it? It set the target that by 2030, 25% of the EU's agricultural area should be under organic farming. On the one hand, the productivity narrative of the Green Deal argues that it should be used as for stimulating agricultural production for food availability. But on the other hand, two other components have been brought inside. That is, those are environmental consideration, and another is a environmental public goods, and another is actually social consideration. So three things are there in the Green Deal. So one is production, enough production, or food self-sufficiency. Another is an environment issue, another is a social issue. So economy, social, environment. So this is actually also three components of the sustainability of any sector. So green growth, but there is also conflict also, because these are conflicting narratives also. Because if you want to produce more, then we have to think about not to harm the environment, and there is a challenge also. The green growth strategy also defines 5 sectors of the economy. So what are the sectors? So these are industry, agriculture, transport, service, and other sectors. We understand that stringent environment, I'm now coming to your last part of this query, these stringent environmental sustainability and regulatory standards enshrined in the Green Deal may affect imports in the EU from other countries, and including from Bangladesh. But however, I can say that it is too early to make an accurate assessment of the impacts. We can only hope that Europe would set achievable goals and establish an order of humanist priorities rather than pursuing ideas that may crash against the wall of reality. Because on the one hand, we have to continue ensuring the sufficient food for its people, in the European Union, as well as we have to look at the environmental consideration and social consideration. So I hope, because this is the ambition statement intent, we can hope that a balanced approach will be adopted gradually by the European Union.
How important is for your country to develop new agricultural technologies to help increase productivity and meet the future demand for food?
Very important, as Bangladesh agriculture constitutes close to 14% of GDP. There are some institutional arrangement to face the challenges. For example, we have several important organizations. One is Bangladesh Agricultural Research Council. So this is an important body, and another is the Bangladesh Rice Research Institute. So what Bangladesh Rice Research Institute does, there are researchers, agricultural scientists are researching and to innovate new varieties of seeds which can tolerate salinity, and also, and our country is prone to natural disasters. But on the other hand, we can proudly say that Bangladesh successfully managed different natural calamities in the last 5 years, because our inherent preparedness is nice. But we know that how to handle this, how then people are saved, but we have to save our agricultural commodities also. So they have already introduced new varieties of products. So they are constantly researching. So, and then, or also we are open to outside countries where any new yield is produced in new variety. When you know about new variety, we also like to gain knowledge about this. But our preparedness is quite satisfactory, we can say.
Okay. And how do you see our country's food products? How do you see our Spanish food producers? Do you see as a partner or competition?
Oh, it's a nice question. Spain is a lovely country. Spain is the 4th largest agri-food producer in European Union and 10th in the world. Due to the quality of its products and extensive range of items, Spanish agri-food industry is globally acclaimed, there is no doubt. And during the pandemic, we saw that the Spanish food industry proved its resilience. Its efficient logistics and infrastructure systems have increased its exports. We have noted with admiration that Spain is a world leader in specific areas spanning from producing high quality nutrition sources to precision agriculture. In recent years, Spain has become one of the few food tech nations developing an enterprising ecosystem across the entire agri-food value chain. And here, last not but the least, Spain is also one of the European leaders in organic farming. And coming to your second part, of course not. Spain is our enduring partner and friend and never a competitor, I should say, firmly. We can make the best use of complementarities and each other's competitive advantages. We have many things to learn. I mentioned it earlier in another question also, through the exchange of knowledge and expertise. Let me cite here an example. Just last year, our Honorable Commerce Minister paid a visit to Almeria. I also accompanied him. The purpose of the visit actually, the Almeria model is worldwide famous, globally acclaimed. So we went there and met various agro-processing companies operating in the region. We also physically inspected some of the agricultural farmhouses. So we met with the chambers of commerce in Almeria and gained access to the knowledge of how Almeria has become one of the most important suppliers of vegetables and fruits for the European Union and the United States of America. And building on the visit, we aimed to work together to emulate Almeria model of agro-business in Bangladesh in areas such as farm mechanization, production and export of high-yield products, crop diversification, intensification, integrated nutrition, natural pest management, and commercial scale distribution. So this is how our bilateral diplomacy is now at work.
Okay.
Thank you.
And what challenge do you see ahead for the sector, and how can we address them?
Of course, this is a challenging moment because, as I earlier mentioned, the Bangladesh is the 35th largest economy in the world. How it happened? Because contribution of agriculture is now close to 14%, but lot of agricultural lands are being used for other purposes, gradually transformed because of different reasons. Because I should especially mention some of the factors. Those are challenges. One is population size and density. We are a country of 165 million population. Density is very high. And land degradation, another factor. Another important challenge is natural disasters. Another important challenge is unbridled rural to urban migration, which is taking away the agricultural land. Another challenge is the burden of malnutrition for the marginalized class, and the increase of additives also, because once we want to produce more, we have to use additives, preservatives, pesticides, and we have no room for complacency in this regard. And main challenge actually is to ensure safe, nutritious and affordable food for all the people of our country. And here we have to maintain seed and feed quality. These are very important. And agriculture, fisheries and aquaculture are very sensitive to climatic variability also. And inefficient infrastructure is also can put a challenge. We are currently trying to develop our infrastructure. A lot of infrastructural development works are taking place, but there is no room for complacency. And because of the inefficient infrastructure, it takes time for the farmers, agricultural farmers, to sell or distribute the product to the other consumers. And we can address all these challenges, I should say, that by accelerating the shift to high value agriculture, horticulture, livestock and fishery, as well as greater value addition to improve farmers' income and household nutrition. In this case, I should mention that smallholders, for example, often women, are negatively impacted to limited access to inputs, resources and markets. So we have to think about them. Food industry needs to be treated as an essential service provider along food value chains. Social innovation plays a pivotal role in transforming today's food systems. But we have also ambitious goals also, and we are proceeding in this respect. I should also mention here that we have already fulfilled target of Bangladesh. We have fulfilled 2 targets. Bangladesh already has set the target of UN's Millennium Development Goals earlier. Another is United Nations Millennium Development Goal. Another target we achieved is Bangladesh already graduated to the lower middle income country from least developed countries by fulfilling the 3 criteria. Now our next target is we are trying to fulfill the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, and by 2040, there is another challenge I should mention, sea level rise, because this is a part of climate change, and we predict that by 2050, because of sea level rise, available cropland in the coastal area would be reduced by 24%. But greater economic activity is expected to trigger depletion of water for irrigation and increased emission of greenhouse gases. So we have to fight these challenges. So there is no alternative to transition to a climate resilient growth path, and we must come up with new seeds able to withstand salinity and other adversities. We should also focus on weather-based index and crop insurance to empower farmers and make them resilient. So that's all from my side for them. For this.
And what would you say to the farmers in your country nowadays to keep on working hard to get your goals?
Yeah, of course. I should reiterate that there is no alternative to the know-how, and government is sincere. For example, government tries to circulate the relevant agricultural information through mobile technology, and farmers can get this information, then get real-time information regarding the agriculture. And as you know, most of the agricultural production in Bangladesh is characterized as traditional subsistence farming. Subsectors such as fishery, poultry, livestock, and dairy have started taking shape as commercial ventures in the hands of youth and progressive entrepreneurs. This has not only strengthened our economy but has empowered the women of Bangladesh. Moreover, another positive fact is going on. Agriculture tourism in eco-resorts has opened a new door for us. So I would call upon our farmers to keep themselves informed of several important agronomic know-hows, such as global best practices in farming, environmental conservation, environmental protection, agriculture intensification, diversification and yield increase, integrated pest management, measures of innovation of new cropping systems, also adaptation technology for smart farming that fit our settings. And here there is no lack of necessity of information communication technology. So they should be well equipped with all this. So that's how they can fight the challenges. I wish them all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your explanation. I think it's quite clear how important is the food produced in your country, and it's a pleasure that the government take this issue into account to feed their population. So thank you very much for coming and for this interview that I think is very useful for us.
Thank you very much. I feel honored to be part of this interview. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
Ok, nos vemos en la próxima. Gracias por estar ahí y hasta pronto.